glad you could join us down here in the secret laboratory.
My pleasure.
We only have a few minutes, so I want to get right to talking about tulip mania.
Right.
And the economic crash of a long time ago.
Yeah, not now.
Well, perhaps.
Perhaps. Why
is this poem called the Semper Augustus? You told me a little bit about it a while ago, but refresh my memory.
I think I was lying in bed at my old place on Halsey Street, and I think it was a sunny Saturday afternoon. I think I'd been up the night before for a while, and so I was watching some sort of documentary on Holland and the tulip mania crash in the early 1600s, I think. Mm-hmm. And the most expensive, if I recall correctly, bulb was called the Semper Augustus. It was this beautiful, coveted flower, and it, at one point I think it was paid for like something like 10 times what the average worker actually earned in a year, something like the equivalent of...
Just for one bulb?
For one bulb, like 117 acres worth of land, or I can't even remember how much it was, some exorbitant amount, and soon after that, obviously, the interest died, and money completely shifted hands, and this...
And here we are now.
And here we are.
Yeah. So the opening lines of this 13-line poem, and you mentioned to me earlier that you had written them on your way to see Dinosaur Jr., which was, you know, a big band a few years ago.
Showing age.
The opening band, or the opening lines, are talking about how you're nodding off for natural reasons now.
Okay.
Is that setting the stage for a new phase of life?
Well, you know, I think it was written. You know, it's perfect because I think it was written in several different phases. The last part of it was definitely written at the Turkey's Nest as I was waiting for my friends Zach and Tommy to come by and go see Dinosaur Jr., which was, yes, a very recent band. But no, yeah, the poem has definitely got that feeling of, all right, I've been moving through life with this sort of Peter Pan quality for a long time, and the same night that I went to that show and wrote the poem, you know, or finished it, my friend had found out that he was going to have a second child, so there was that whole transition of we're going, you know, trying to act like we're still going to these shows and getting blown out by these Marshall stacks, but he's also, you know, about to have his second child, and
right,
not me. So it's that push and pull back and forth of where you want to go.
Right, and the time limit we all have.
Exactly, like now.
Yeah. So in the middle of the poem, there are two words that share the word hard, mm-hmm. right? And they also share the same syllable count. So formally, they're acting as a kind of beacon to call attention to each other. One is my own hardware, mm-hmm. and the other is Swan Lake is hard. And that sort of overt and covert repetition acts as a homing beacon that demands our attention. So what's Swan Lake doing in the middle of this poem?
Well, I mean, to start with, I'm going to jump at you, but I think removing my own hardware, you know, a lot of what I try to write, and what's definitely in this poem, is kind of just reversal of person. That anybody I'm with, you know, partners specifically, but all my friends and so forth, I think we share qualities of one another that we trade back and forth. Mm-hmm. So removing my own hardware is just that. I get home and try to put myself back together as I put the other person back together. And Swan Lake is hard is, well, to be honest, when I was at the Turkey's Nest and I was waiting, biding time and writing, I was sort of addicted to this, you know, speaking of tulipomania and technology and all these sorts of things, I finally gave in and got the iPhone and started using the apps and stuff, and there's this fishing game, and one stage is called Swan Lake, and I think you're fishing for walleye or something like that, but it's completely impossible to get through, so, but at the same time, you know, it's the artistic, I mean, I would never use that unless I was thinking about, you know, living a life where you're actually, you know, much like dancers, you know, you create an art that you really get no money for, and it kind of takes your life apart, and you have to really care about it, so Swan Lake is hard.
Yeah, and then
I don't usually explicate poems, but... Well,
you know, the poem's a microcosm for
Swan
the big
Lake
picture.
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Okay, whatever, dude.
Thinking juice.
So that gets us to the ending. We talked about the beginning, the middle. The ending, I have an awful gift. It's telling you to stop. So stop what? Because the ambiguity of that last line, the last word even, stop, it kind of opens a door by slamming it shut.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. I have an awful gift at telling you stop. You know, awful and gift are obviously, those are conflicting words, right? So I think it's the sense for me that I care so much about people that I want to constantly give and mirror and transfer with people. Mm-hmm. Which like creates a cipher situation where you kind of lose your own sense of place, which is also one of the most wonderful experiences in life. So, you know, I think I have a gift to draw things out of people, but at the same time it kind of annihilates your own sense of self. So, but I have an awful gift, you know, it's also having fun in the world and spending all your money and not coming home with anything. And at a certain point, your brain, your body tells you you're running out of gas.
That's right.
You gotta go home and get your nap.
Right. You've given up everything, and now you're nothing.
Exactly.
So, is there anybody that this poem is secretly dedicated to? And if you can't answer that, just you can cough to say yes and stare at the camera knowingly until they get the picture.
Yeah, that's private.
All right. So. Is this a sonnet? Not that that question really matters at all, but it's, you know, you mentioned the sonnet in the poem itself as having been kept alive by arbitrary species.
The great sonnets were arbitrary forms kept in place by available species. Well, you know, it's funny. Like my dad was just right. My dad's also a poet, and a terrific one at that. And the other week he was just like, I actually kind of missed the time when form was this thing that was respected and kept in place. And, you know. It's a totally arbitrary idea because everything is music, and I think this poem actually is a very formal poem. I'm outside. Was I writing it exactly to be a broken sonnet? Not exactly, but I think the shape of it, where it's enter with a plea, give an explanation, come out with a resolution. You know,
that three-step process.
Yeah, with the music and the internal sort of sprung rhythm that I like in Hopkins or something like that. It's the same thing.
Oh crap!
Oh shit.
Maya Angelou, she needs our help. Let's go.